welcome to the Northwest Treatment Vidcast.
Hey, how are you doing, Jessica?
Good. We thought today we would try to share a little bit of information and a skill that we have run across, which is a type of breathing exercise. We thought with everything going on in the world right now, it's helpful to have ways to connect, take a moment, take a breath, de-stress. So Léa, what would you call this breathing exercise?
So today I'm going to introduce to you guys what's called the 5-7 breathing. This was probably one of the very first things I was ever introduced to when it came to mindfulness meditations. And the idea of the 5-7 is you breathe in for 5 and you breathe out for 7. And initially when I was taught this breathing technique, I thought it was a joke, Jessica. Like I completely thought it was a joke. As you know, like I'm a swimmer in my background, and I was like, I don't need to be taught how to breathe. I know how to breathe. I've been doing it just fine for the past 20 whatever odd years I was. And it turns out I was really wrong, like super wrong.
Sometimes we can use some help getting better at something.
Right. It turns out breathing was one of those things. And so the first time I did it, it actually was somewhat uncomfortable to me. And it kind of hurt a little bit.
What do you mean by hurting? Like an actual physical pain?
Kind of, because like it was super uncomfortable and discomfort in my ribs because I have been doing this what's called chest breathing, which is, where your chest goes up and down for so long that I had completely forgotten how to use your belly breath. Like that
Like
was
from the
completely
diaphragm?
gone. Yeah, that was completely gone. And so the first time I finally got back into it, I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. I don't like it. And then I started doing it more and I was like, I see how it is. Like, so you're trying, like the point of the 5-7 breathing is that you're trying to do this like newborn babies. Like if you ever watch them breathe, it's just their belly goes up and down. That's it. It's beautiful to watch. I highly recommend it. It's super soothing. Super fast though. It's very true. And the other thing that happens is you can feel a little bit lightheaded with it because now all of a sudden you're getting a full breath of air, which you have not been getting up until that point.
Sure.
And the reason we want to do this is because there's something called the vagus nerve, and it's this tiny little cluster of nerves that sits on the front of your spine behind your diaphragm. And this beautiful nerve bundle is there to do fight or flight. It also does a whole bunch of other things, but specifically it also works on the fight or flight reflex. And what happens is that the more anxious we are in the day and that we do, this nerve gets activated over and over again, but it doesn't really ever let go until you tell it to, it's fine, you need to let go. And we forget to breathe, which is how we get it to reset itself essentially. And so the 5-7 breathing comes in with your diaphragm, and the diaphragm helps push back against it a little bit and help relax it, so that it can kind of start like loosening itself back up again. And then you're no longer in fight or flight and you can start thinking better. You can breathe better. There've been research that have shown, and I'm going to put some links in the description down below, where anxiety and depression have been shown to be super helpful with this. I'm not saying it's curing anxiety and depression, not at all.
Sure.
Like there's so much more that goes into it than that. But especially when it comes to anxiety and panic attacks, this is super helpful in getting you out of them or helping you be able to just see through the waterfall. And so
that sounds great.
Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and do it with Jessica, and we're going to do 3 rounds. Okay. And if you can't do on the count that I do it on, fine. Don't worry about it. Just make sure that you breathe out longer than you breathe in. Okay.
Okay. So breathing out longer than we breathe in.
Exactly. And so I'm going to count, and it'll go up and then it'll go down. So it'll be pretty easy to follow. And so finding yourself a comfortable seated position. And we're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And breathing out for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And breathing out for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And last round of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And breathing out for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So how was that for you?
That was certainly interesting. I don't know if I kept focusing on the count or my body. I couldn't quite decide which one to really focus on. But it's definitely unique, making sure to push the breath down. I think I might have had a little bit of a benefit or slightly easier getting into this, because in theater, breathing is a big thing that we use and talk about for characters or movement. And
Right.
there's definitely a lot of where I distinctly remember in one of my classes where you put one hand on the top of like your clavicle and, you know, up top on your chest, and then one hand really on your diaphragm at the bottom of your ribs, and watch how your body moves when you breathe, and trying to push out that bottom hand without having the top move.
Exactly. Same thing that you're trying to do in this. You want your stomach to go out without your top going up at all.
Right. And a lot of people, I mean, when you really start paying attention to just not changing it, but just how we breathe, you'll notice a lot of people's shoulders will go up towards the end.
Yes.
Because we're so used to breathing too shallow and there's not enough space. So when you have more breath, instead of going out, you have to go up, which is not as helpful.
It isn't. And at least, like, I don't know about you, but as a woman, like, I was taught to hold my stomach in and to stand up tall and everything else, which contributes into that, because what happens is that over time, I was told essentially don't breathe.
Right.
And that
or breathe
does
so
create some
shallow.
issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does create some issues in the long run if you're not able to actually breathe the way that you're meant to. And so you're always like up here instead of being way down here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. It's a great skill to share, Léa.
Well, I hope that everybody enjoys it. And with that, we wish you to be well and be healthy.
Thank you.
Bye.